Hello everyone, it's Kari from sunshineinmypocket.com, and today I have some fun cards to share with you using lots of techniques. These are fairy cards using some of the products from the March Hedgehog Hollow kit, and I'm starting off with some ink smushing. So I've got 3 colors of distress oxides here, and I'm trying to keep them a little bit separated so they don't turn into mud. So you can see I've got 3 separate spots for each of those, and I want to apologize first off for how close up I am to the, I'm kind of zoomed in on this, but my work surface was getting a little bit small. I was trying a whole bunch of things for these cards. And so that's why we're zoomed in a little bit right now, but I will fix that in just a few minutes. So what I do is I dry off the paper, and then I go in and I add more water and I do some more ink smushing. And now I am going to add some more ink and some more interest by layering on some color. And the first time I'm going to do this, I'm just going to use the same Distress Oxide inks. I'm going to blend them out with my brayer, and then I'm going to add that same ink smushed paper that we just did to the ink here. I'm hoping to get a little brighter color than I do. So watch this as I pull this up. It's very faint. So I decide to go ahead, add some more ink, spread that out with my brayer, and add the stencil. And this is what I really had in mind to do in the first place, because when you use a stencil through a gel press, with a gel press onto your paper, you get some really neat effects. So watch this. I'm adding another piece of paper, a separate paper here, and I'm going to pull that with the ink that's left over, and we get a really light, beautiful, magical, kind of fairy-like impression. So I'm going to make a card out of both of these that we just did, but first I'm going to clean off my gel press by just taking some scrap paper here and pulling up the rest of that ink. And that's all there is to it. It's pretty easy to keep that clean. And so now we're going to take this first background and look at the neat designs we got on that with 3 different colors of ink, and it pulls really pretty on the background. So these are the stamps I'm going to be using. It says, "Even little miracles take a little time," and that little fairy in the jar is so cute. Kind of reminds me of Tinkerbell, so I loved it. But I decided I wanted it to be a little brighter on the background. So I'm using Distress Oxides, the same colors, and I'm just going to brush them on with their separate brushes that I have just for the oxide inks. So I'll do the blue, the pink, and the green. So I believe this is Tumbled Glass. The pink is Kitsch Flamingo. And then the green, I think, is Twisted Citron. If I didn't mention it before, the paper that I'm using here is a watercolor paper so that it could take all that water that I added at the beginning. It's very sturdy and has a little bit of texture to it as well. So we're getting some really interesting looks here with all of those techniques so far. I'm just going to stamp on the fairy in the jar using my favorite black ink. I do stamp it a couple of times because, as I say, it is watercolor paper, so it's a little bit thicker, has a little bit of a tooth to it. So then I'll also stamp on that sentiment. I could have done this at the same time, but I wasn't sure if I was going to add that sentiment just as it is or not. But I ended up just stamping it directly to the paper. And now I'm going to take the Slimline. This is a brand new stencil from Maker Forte and Verada Sharma Designs. And it's the grass stencil. It's got 2 pieces, so you can do all kinds of different techniques with this. Today I'm just going to use this one here, and I'm going to ink on that grass using this dark navy VersaFine Clair ink. So this is very simple. I have a domed blending tool here, and I'm just going to hold this down using my Make Art station with the magnets so that it stays in place, and there we have the grass stenciled on. Now I'm going to take the other stencil that we used at the beginning in the background, and I'm just going to tape off a portion of those little, kind of look like plants growing. And I thought that would look really cool around the top of the whole panel here. So I'm using the same color of ink and just inking up selectively around the top. Kind of gives it more of a frame around this card. And then I'll take the ink and go around all the edges. I think that makes it look more mysterious, magical, like there's a soft light around the whole thing. So I'm going to go around all of this panel just like that. So there is the beginning of our card. Lots of interesting designs to this, and I'm going to splatter on some white paint as well. That'll give it even more of a layer of interest. And now I have some sparkle pens in silver and gold, and I'm just going to add these to the fairy coming up from her wand and up out of the jar. And I'm going to do this all over until I have a really nice look. So this is really hard to tell in the video. I'm just going to skip over the majority of this, but I'm going to do that with the pens first. And then I'm going to add some stars from the stencil that comes in the kit. So I'm adding these just here and there, just kind of all over where I think that it needs a star. And I'm using that same color of ink. I'm not inking up my tool anymore, just using what's on there already. So I'll just keep adding those all over until I'm happy with the placement of those stars. And then I'm going to add some of this glitter. This glitter also came in the kit, and it's really fantastic to add it in little spots all over your card. So that's what I'm going to do today after I finish inking the stars. I have a thin glue pen here that will make small little dots on my panel, and that's what's going to capture that glitter. So I'm just adding dots with that glue, and now I'm going to sprinkle on some of the silver glitter, and that will stick to all of those little dots that I put on with the glue pen. I'm going to end up adding a little bit more in the end to kind of even that out, but you can see here that as I continue to work on this, I'll add more of the pen and more of the glitter, and until I'm happy with the way it looks. But see, look at all that magic coming up out of that jar from the fairy. So now, as that one's drying, I'm going to work on the other card here, and I stamped those wings on using some clear sticky embossing ink, and now I'm using some glitter embossing powder. This is something I had in my stash, and then I'm just going to stamp on that sentiment that says, "Make your own magic." I'm stamping that with a Distress Oxide ink in kind of a similar blue to match those wings, and I'm going to heat set that with some clear embossing powder as well. Now I'm ready to ink around the edges. I'm going to take some peacock feathers and ink around the edge and add a little bit of faded jeans for some more drama to just make this card pop. So just going around all the edges with those colors, and now I'm going to use those same silvery and gold gel pens to add some little dots here and there. Now this is a little hard to see in the video, so I'm going to hold this up for you in just a minute, but I add dots just kind of following the design of that stencil that is so soft in the background. We got that with our gel press, and look at how these dots make it come alive. It's a really interesting background in real life. It looks so pretty. It's really fun to look at. So I hope you can see that in this video a little bit here. And then I'm going to add all of those panels to a card base that's 110 pounds. So we're going to get some really nice weight cards. And you can see that shine on that glitter embossing powder. So here's our cards for today. This is the fairy one with all of the layers, and there's the easier one with just those sparkly wings and the soft background. Really fun techniques. I hope you got inspired today and might try some of these for yourself. Maybe some gel press techniques, some ink smushing, maybe do a little bit of selective stenciling, some glitter or dots with some gel pens, and you get some really fun cards. Thanks so much for stopping by. Be sure to give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel as well so you don't miss a thing. I'll be back real soon with some more card making inspiration. Until then, I hope you have a really great crafty day. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.